There's no topic in my family that's more contentious than who makes the best spaghetti sauce. You could walk into our kitchen during any holiday and we're probably having a pretty heated argument about that. We're all very adamant that ours is the best. While I'm incredibly proud of my time-intensive meat sauce, that dish requires many hours on a weekend. Often I found myself wanting a pasta sauce on a Wednesday night, and time is not on my side. I found a way to make that desire work with a very simple yet delicious variant on my meat sauce. There are a few cheats to this dish that I will show you here that help me get close to that long-cooked flavor I want. The ingredients for this are so simple. I use one 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 1 pound of hot Italian sausage, a good bit of olive oil, a nice tasty olive oil is best, a quarter of an onion, and as many garlic cloves as I could fit in. For seasoning, I'm going to use garlic powder, chili flakes, and then this is one of my secrets. It's a chicken powder. It's adding a lot of salt, a good amount of MSG, which may not float everyone's boat, but I think it helps a lot here. I also like to add Cajun seasoning, but I think it gives it a really good savoriness that you're kind of missing without it. I'm also going to be adding sugar, which is definitely frowned upon in my family, but I think it helps because we're not cooking this sauce all that long. We're not going to develop a ton of sweetness. Before we start cutting some vegetables, I like to take a wet paper towel and put it under my cutting board. This is going to keep it from moving and is going to save you a lot of headache. I always keep 2 bowls at least around me when I'm cooking. One is going to be a trash bowl that everything you're throwing away is going to go into. For your garlic, you can actually just smash the whole head and that's going to break all of the little cloves out. So go ahead and crush your cloves of garlic and peel them. And we're using 3 to 4 here. Depending on the size and the day, I may use 5 to 6 to 7. I love garlic and you can honestly never have enough of it. So give that a fine mince. It doesn't need to be as fine as possible, but I like to run my knife through it once it's been chopped once. This is how I like to break down an onion. I'll cut off the 2 ends, and when I get to the root end, I'll be sure to not cut a massive amount off. That's gonna hold the onion together. Cut it in half from end to end, and take the skin off of 1/2. We're gonna save 1/2, put that in the fridge, and for this dish, I just need a quarter of an onion, so I'm actually gonna slice that in half again. You'll see me making vertical cuts here, and then I can actually just turn it on the other side and make vertical cuts. So now we have sort of a checkerboard of cuts that we can go through. Now we'll run our knife through it. I'm gonna do a bit of crying. Onions kill me every time I cut them. They make me cry so much. Get that finely diced. If I wasn't crying so much, I would probably go once more, similar to the garlic, just to mince it, but we can get that in our bowl. That is basically all of our prep work done. I'm gonna open the can of tomatoes so I have it ready to go. I like this brand of crushed tomatoes. I don't have like an endorsement or anything. It just is good, and I think it works really well in a sauce. So here's where the magic really starts. We're gonna get our heaviest pot over medium-high heat, and we're gonna add a good amount of olive oil and our sausage to it. I'm gonna let this brown for a long time. This is gonna cook until it's deeply, deeply brown, and then I'm gonna add the vegetables we just chopped, the garlic and the onion, to it, let those cook with it, and then I'm also gonna add tomato paste and let that cook down with it as well. This is gonna give us a really, really nice base, a nice meaty brown flavor for everything else to go off of. After about 7 minutes of cooking, we can add our garlic and onions. You'll see it's not as brown as we want it yet. We're gonna give it a little bit more time. We're finally starting to get there. We're starting to get brown. This is probably 12 minutes or so. I'm gonna squeeze in some tomato paste, about a tablespoon. This is gonna be very important because we don't have the time to cook the sauce as long as we need, and that's just giving us a bit more richness as well. At every step of the way, we're looking for ways to impart a bit more richness and a bit more flavor. Once the tomato paste has cooked out, as they say, we're basically looking to cook out some of the raw, tinny tomato flavor. We're gonna add our whole 28-ounce can of tomatoes and then about half the can of water. We're gonna cook this down rapidly, so we're gonna keep adding water as we go. I do like to add a good majority of the seasonings at the beginning and let it cook with everything. Most of it's dried, so it's not gonna lose flavor or dull out as we go. I'll add a good amount of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons or so, 10 to 15 grinds of our black pepper. We're going in with 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of our chili flake, and then 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of our Cajun seasoning. Same with the chicken powder. A lot of traditional sauces would not use this powder, but it's salty and it's chickeny, and there's no real replacement for this kind of richness in a sauce that's cooked in 30 minutes. Sugar is gonna go in, maybe 3 pinches of that, as well as a good couple shakes of an Italian seasoning. I don't always add this, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Today I was kind of feeling it. Now I like to get a pot of water, at least over a medium flame. I'm gonna add a good amount of salt to the water. As soon as our sauce is done, we wanna be able to put our noodles into the water and get those cooking. We are gonna keep this sauce over medium. We're not really gonna turn it down. Again, we're looking to cook it quickly, so you'll see it starts out a really light, bright red, and it's gonna turn darker and darker into a more brick red over time. So once that's come up to a boil, we're gonna leave the lid off. Don't put the lid on because we do want this to reduce. And we're gonna let that go, checking it every 10 minutes. So the first 10 minutes have gone by. You've seen it's already gotten a little bit darker, but it hasn't really lost a ton of mass yet. What I'm looking to do is cook it till you can basically see all of the meat and turn it to a really thick sludge, because we're gonna mix all of our pasta into all of our sauce, and it gives us basically a perfect ratio. Okay, another 10 minutes have gone by. Time to check again. I think it needed a little bit more water. We did start reducing, so I wanted to add a little bit more. It's been another 10 minutes and we're starting to definitely get where we want it. This is a good time to taste it, make sure it's got enough seasoning. We haven't added a lot of salt yet, but we have added this chicken powder as well as Cajun seasoning, which both have a good amount of salt to them. So we don't have to go too generous on the seasoning right now. I added here just a pinch of salt, a couple grinds of black pepper, and a couple of shakes of our red pepper flakes. I just wanted to kick the savoriness up a little bit. So we've got that pot of water from earlier that we put on the stove, and we're gonna crank that heat up to medium high, get it boiling. So our water's boiling, we're gonna put our entire box of pasta in. This is just a rigatoni. That's what I like for this, either a rigatoni, a penne. You could also just use a spaghetti. It's totally up to you, but the whole box is perfect for the amount of sauce we made. Just cook it probably to the lowest time it recommends. If it says 11 to 12 minutes, go 11 minutes. All in all, this was about 45 minutes of active cooking time. So much of it is just making sure your pot is hot enough with the sauce. This comes out to a perfect amount of sauce for this amount of pasta. It's one of the reasons why I love making this, because you need 1 can of tomatoes, 1 package of sausage, and 1 box of pasta, and you don't have to worry about much else other than your seasoning. These two are gonna marry beautifully. You're gonna mix it together, get that luscious sauce all over that beautiful pasta. Give it a taste, make sure it's good. This was basically perfect on seasoning, so it was ready to go. Once that's all good and mixed, you're ready for bowl time, which is the best time because it means you get to eat it, and it's gonna be delicious. So please give this a try. I promise adding the chicken powder, the Cajun seasoning, and the sugar does not make it a weird combination. I swear it's good, and I swear it helps. Even when I have the time on a weekend, I've started kind of defaulting to this as what I make. It's so close to a long roasted sauce and a slow cooked, slow simmered all day sauce, but it takes less than an hour. And to me, that is pretty important. Also, I finally have an apron that I love. Thank you to my beautiful wife. It is amazing and I adore it. And thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. I've been blown away by the support and the community that this has started to build, and I'd love to keep this going. Thank you so much. Have a great day and make this spaghetti sauce.